In today's episode of the Pathfund Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with James Connor, and who's hailing over from the folks over at Openmind, and they're delivering messaging systems for a 5G world. So basically, they help to streamline core messaging apps and basically help you guys to have a very efficient messaging around. So without further ado, let's jump in, Connor. James, I should say. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Very good. Yeah. So James, maybe let people know a little bit more about Openmind in your own words. Like, somebody who hasn't seen or worked with it before, what is it all about?
Sure. So Openmind Networks is a software solutions provider, essentially, that specializes in providing communication and messaging solutions for mobile network operators, aggregators, and intercarriers all around the world. So we offer a range of services that enable mobile operators to manage and deliver their messaging service, including SMS firewalls, A2P or application to person messaging, fraud prevention, and so on. And essentially, in a nutshell, what Openmind does is provide the software that runs messaging routing from one device to another globally.
Very cool. That makes a whole lot of sense. Now, tell us maybe a little bit about the customers. Who would be benefiting most from Openmind?
Sure. So the target market for Openmind Networks is essentially mobile network operators. So somebody like Verizon in the United States, Vodafone, maybe more European, your aggregators and your intercarriers. So intercarriers essentially are wholesalers that operate and manage international traffic. So if you, for example, were to go on holiday and you need to connect to a new network in Europe, for example, and send a message back to your own network, that's where an intercarrier, someone like Cineverse or Bix or whatever would come in. So in a nutshell, again, the vision for Openmind Networks is to provide amazing experiences through messaging. So essentially the problems that we solve or the solutions that we provide to those MNOs or those aggregators is to, streamline their core messaging service, provide them with, anti-fraud tools or platforms, and essentially ensure that the end user like me and you has those amazing experiences through messaging.
Very cool. Now, tell us maybe a little bit about sort of who would be sort of the main, let's say, champion or person that would drive, the application of Openmind within the organization forward? Like, is there like a typical like champion persona? How should we imagine the people that are getting started?
Yeah, so a large proportion of our campaigns would be targeted, obviously, at the decision makers within those companies. So essentially people at a C-suite or a director level. So ultimately, that's where a final purchase decision is going to be made. So we put a lot of effort into informing and educating those types of personas as much as we can. And as well as that, we like to focus on what I would call the end user. So that wouldn't be me or you as a subscriber to an MNO, but more sort of the person within those companies who will be utilizing our service day to day. So with our Open Protect feature, for example, that could be someone like your head of cybersecurity, your fraud protection manager. And then with our core messaging service, which is wider ranging, it might be somebody like your delivery manager, your director of infrastructure, example. So these personas typically, they might not have the final decision-making authority, but they're going to be more hands-on with the product and the service, and they're more experienced with the day-to-day challenges that we will solve. So by targeting those people, we have the decision maker and the end user, we create that need and that want for the platform and, create advocates for our service within these companies also.
That makes sense. Now, how do these guys learn about you? Like, how would you describe their journey for them getting started?
Yeah, so the telecoms industry, since I've joined it earlier this year, it's relatively unique, I suppose, in the sense that it seems to be very close knit, and all of the key players, they typically have existing and long-standing relationships already. So everyone pretty much knows everyone and what they do. So in terms of lead gen or demand gen, we're actually a wee bit old school in the sense that one of the biggest channels for us is actually in-person events and conferences. So, there can be, I guess, an obsession internally in some companies around having the best branded swag to bring to these things, or, scanning as many lanyards as you can to build up a mailing list. But what I found and what we find here at Openmind is focusing on having high quality conversations with high intent leads within our ICP or our target personas. That's where we get, the most value and the bang for buck. And, one high intent conversation in my mind it's worth more than 100 names on a mailing list who may or may not just want a free t-shirt at the end of the day. And another key channel for us is actually LinkedIn ads, things like that. So I'm a massive believer in speaking to your target audience where they actually are, as opposed maybe to where you want them to be. So, as a marketing manager, we all want a campaign to go viral. We all want to be on TikTok and Instagram. And they're all great, of course, in their own way. And it's vital to stay up to date with those trends. But, my ICP is not spending a whole lot of time on TikTok or on Instagram. So, or if you're targeting, say, a homepage takeover of a website or whatever for your campaign, if your ICP isn't there, if they're not spending time on those websites, there's not a whole lot of value there. So I'm a huge evangelist of LinkedIn Campaign Manager because their targeting enables us to ensure that we're hitting our target audience in terms of individual job titles, individual target companies, geographies, etc., with each and every piece of content that we produce. Because a lot of effort goes into that content all across the team, all across different departments. So we want to make sure that we're getting as much value as we can and ROI out of those campaigns.
Very cool. Now, how do you think about the website? Like, what role would you contribute to the website when it comes to their journey?
Yeah. So, with any company, I'm sure it's the same, but particularly for ourselves here at Openmind Networks, the website plays a pivotal role in your customer or your prospect journey. So, I like to look at the website. It's essentially a salesperson who's working 24/7. It's serving as our digital storefront. It's a key touch point for customers and potential customers who are looking to learn maybe a little bit more about Openmind or just, searching for the services that we provide in general. And obviously, there's non-negotiables for success that any marketing team would have in terms of monitoring, optimizing website analytics. But more specifically to Openmind and our user journey, the website serves a number of key functions, such as portraying that brand identity that we have. We place a huge emphasis on informing and educating users and potential users. And it also serves as a good lead generation tool for us as well. So as I mentioned before, our target market is relatively small. There's only so many companies in the world that we can speak to about what we do. Anywhere up to maybe 1,000 companies worldwide. Mm-hmm. So when someone does visit our website, it is with a very specific purpose in mind. And they're more than likely familiar with, if not Openmind, then certainly the types of services that we offer and why those services are important. So our website is very important in representing our brand story, what we stand for, showcasing our values and showcasing our product and our service offerings, because it's a relatively complicated offering that we have, certainly to a layman like I was when I started in the telecoms industry. So our website plays a huge role in simplifying that down and really speaking to the benefits of working with Openmind Networks.
Very cool. Now, every marketer actually that I talk to on the show, they always sort of have a little bit of a critical eye on the website themselves. Like, what would you consider sort of a main strength of the website versus where do you see room maybe for further improvement?
Sure. So actually Openmind Networks, we underwent a rebrand earlier in 2023. As part of that, a major focus of that was a brand new and improved website, which we're very happy that we were able to launch earlier this year. So I definitely believe that the new website offers a very good user experience, which is a significant strength. It's very easy to navigate. It has clear messaging and information in what Openmind believe as a brand and what Openmind Networks offers to the marketplace in terms of our products and our services. So I think it's very clear what we do, why we do it, etc. And like you mentioned, like all businesses and all marketing teams, we will never be finished with the website. We'll never be 100% happy. we're always constantly looking at ways to improve, to optimize performance. So one of the major areas that we've identified as a team for H2 of this year is to optimize our conversion rate. So like you mentioned, and the team at Pathmonk are working on this constantly as well. So we get a lot of high quality, high intent lead through our website. So we're always analyzing, optimizing elements like our CTAs, our landing pages, and other things to increase, I guess, our user to lead ratio, for want of a better term. And as we move forward throughout the rest of this year and beyond, we're going to look to continue to optimize and improve that user experience, utilizing things like explainer videos, maybe graphics to simplify that storytelling journey. As I mentioned before, for a complex offering like Openmind, you need a mix of communication styles. So as we move on the journey and we get that feedback on the new brand and how things are performing, we will be looking to utilize, I guess, more tools like video and graphics, etc.
Very cool. I mean, you brought up conversion rate there. Of course, many, teams that have, undergone like a website change like yourself, then at some point start looking into conversion optimization. Like what was the conversation about? Like, how do you guys think about conversion rate optimization? What role do you think it plays, in sort of the marketing arsenal or toolkit?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like as I said, like the way with the website, we will never probably view it as finished. The conversion rate will probably never be viewed as high enough, unless somebody lands at a utopia of 100% conversion rate off the website. So I think when you're building a new website and even updating or designing any B2B website, it's very important, I believe, as a manager myself, or like with the marketing team, the marketing director, etc., that you understand, I suppose, what it is that you want your website to achieve. So I've worked with B2B websites before where the website itself was more of a, I guess, brand engagement, brand awareness type tool. And it wasn't so much focused on actually generating leads. It was more just to, I guess, inform and answer questions when people hear about us through other means. And that's a huge part of what we want the Openmind Networks website to do. We want to portray our brand identity. We want to, I guess, demystifying a lot of ways and explaining exactly what it is that we do, why we do it. A huge part of what we're working on now is, I guess, content creation. So a big part of our website is obviously outlining the products and so on, but we also put a lot of work into our resources like our blog, our white papers, our webinars. So with the telecom and the MNO market in particular, the sales cycle is quite long at any given time. So the vast majority of my target market is not in a position to make a purchase at any given time. It can be up to sort of every 3 years or so where major overhauls are made to something like a messaging or a CPaaS solution. So what we focus on and what I like to focus on is ensuring that Openmind Networks is top of mind when that person is then ready to make a change, or they're looking at make a change. Maybe they're not happy with their current provider. So we put a lot of work into our blog, a lot of work into our thought leadership pieces, our white papers, to ensure that, we're informing people, we're educating people on trends in the market, incoming technologies and regulations that maybe they need to be aware of. They're becoming need to have rather than nice to haves. And then when that time does come, during the buyer journey where they're ready to make a purchase, Openmind Networks is the brand that they think of because we were there to help them. We were there to give them answers to their problems. So that's a rather long-winded answer, but that's some of when we think about conversion rates, I suppose, having the objectives in mind is a huge thing. And if you're looking for your website to generate leads, you have to become much more aggressive, I suppose, around benefit-driven copy, around your CTAs, around optimizing that user journey to make it as easy as you can to get from the homepage to a contact us or some gated content, whatever it is that you as a marketing team or a sales and marketing function want that user to do.
Very cool. Makes a lot of sense. So now that we sort of learned about OpenMind, that we drove a little bit how do you think about growth and the website, I'd love to, throw some rapid fire questions at you as we're slowly approaching the end of the interview to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready for that?
Yep, I'll do my best.
Very cool. Now, what would be the last book that you've been reading or the last podcast that you've been listening to?
Sure. The last book I read actually has nothing to do at all with business or marketing. It was a wonderful little novel called 13 by an Irish author called Steve Kavanagh. And I actually bought it in an airport before my last holiday, just because the tagline was the killer is not on trial, he's on the jury. And that just sort of it was very effective marketing, I suppose. It just hooked me, and I got to find out what this is about. And the last podcast I listened to was actually a Diary of a CEO, which is a bit more business related. Makes me look a bit better to the audience. But I like to drop in on that on Spotify every now and again, just to learn. I'm a big believer in learning from different facets of life. You can learn a lot from sports or other businesses or whatever it may be. It doesn't always have to be marketing all the time.
Very cool. Now, what would be sort of the one single thing that your marketing team is focused on the most at the moment?
I think the most thing we're focusing on, there's a lot of work going into, as I said, sort of maybe outbound engagement with the market. We're all relatively new. We've all sort of joined Openmind in the last year or so. So we're sort of looking to, build the function and get all the processes in place. We're very lucky with Openmind Networks in the sense that, our CEO, Alex Duncan, and a lot of our sales team, a lot of the engineers, more importantly, they're all very well versed and hugely experienced in the world of telecoms. So a lot of what we're doing, I suppose, is just getting all of that fantastic base of knowledge and using it to improve our outgoing campaigns, our product marketing, our technical documentation and such. So that's a big focus for us as we move forward. And as we've discussed a lot throughout the podcast to this point, I suppose a big focus for us is conversion rates. So creating leads and working at the top of the funnel is one thing, and it's very rewarding to see the numbers coming in. But ultimately, a big focus for us now and moving forward is going to be optimizing that funnel, moving people into MQL stage to SQL stage to opportunity. So conversion rates and pipeline is a big thing for us. It's a big part of the dashboard that we look at every morning. So yeah, I'd say there are some of the major focuses for us as a team right now.
Very cool. Now, for the very last question, I'd like to do a little bit of time travel, if you allow. Let's go back to the days of the University of Galway, right? Heading out of formal education into the world of marketing. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
Well, a great many things. But I suppose to keep it in a one-liner, I guess what I have learned over the years, I've been very lucky that I've had a lot of great managers in my career to date. Some not so great, but that's the way the world works as well. But I guess the one piece of advice I would have for myself is to really learn and to immerse yourself in each of the companies, each of the industries, because you learn a lot it was NUI Galway during my time, University of Galway now. You learn all the basics, digital marketing, international marketing, how to write emails, but I suppose the most effective marketing is ultimately the marketing that works. So I guess the piece of advice I'd give my younger self or anyone looking to get into marketing or even in marketing now is to really immerse yourself with other departments and other teams within your company. Leverage that knowledge that you have right beside you in the office, even if it's dropping some time in someone's calendar in a remote working world. And then really immersing yourself, be it through Google alerts, newsletters, whatever it is in your industry, to learn what the pain points are, learn what the trends are, and then that will enable you to, speak more effectively to your ICP and to your target personas, and to build those relationships, which is ultimately what we're all trying to do. We're trying to build long-standing relationships with our customers.
Very, very cool. James, I really appreciate you took the time with us today and walked us through the world of Openmind. I want to give you the very last word. If people would be forgetting all that we discussed, what's the one single thing that people should remember?
Sure. I guess what I'd love to get across at this point is, the major advantage of Openmind and Openmind Networks, what we do as a company, and what sets us apart from other offerings, is the fact that we operate what we call a continuous update software model. So, the majority of messaging solutions, be it on-premise or in the cloud, they require major upgrades every 3 years, very costly, very time-consuming, often results in formalized procurement processes. So what we do that's very cool and very unique here at Openmind Networks is we are continuously upgrading in the background, or updating rather, in the background, the software model. Our users don't need to worry about it. They can sleep sound at night, resting assured that they have the latest cybersecurity patches, the latest solutions for their issues. So with Openmind Networks platform, you install one service and you never have to worry about that again. So if I could get any one message from Openmind Networks out to the world today, I think that USP would be the one.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.